Hey guys, what's up? Inksmith back again, and today, once more, trying a new type of video, and I think you'll start to understand why I'm trying a bunch of new stuff when you hear what this video is about. If you don't already know, I am an artist and a person who suffers from ADHD. I've suffered from it my whole life, from when I was a little kid up until now. It's severe, it's nonstop, and I do not take any medication for it. Why don't I take any medication for it? I'm just not a big believer in medication, and I don't really want to use that to correct my problems. I want to see if I can correct them on my own. I feel like I'm doing pretty good as my life is pretty successful, but it didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen from being lazy with my life. And I think that's what I want to try and explain to you today, what methods have worked for me over the time that I've worked as an artist, done artwork, or even other jobs, and how I kind of keep myself in check, even though there are times that I do falter, and I'll expose myself as far as those go as well. So I'm just going to go through a few plans that I go through that kind of help me stay focused, and you can use these or toss them out. I'm not saying these are going to work for everybody. They're just what work for me and might work for you. Number one for me is to try to stick to an almost daily practice of art. If I don't get a chance to draw for the day, I at least try to do it 15 minutes or so, even if it's just, a real quick sketch on my phone with a eye pen or something like that, just so I'm keeping my skills fresh. There is a very good chance for me that I will lose a lot of motivation if I feel like my skills are slipping, or I feel like I haven't progressed on a project enough or kept up with it. I also notice I start to let a project completely fall into disrepair if I don't constantly stay up with it. But if I'm doing it a little bit every day, aside from if, there's some kind of family emergency or I'm sick or something like that, which is a good enough excuse not to do it, I start to lose motivation. So for me, I notice giving myself at least a couple minutes minimum every single day, even on my days off on a project, not only keeps it on course for the time that it needs to be finished in, but also keeps my skill up to date as well. This is just how I have to be with anything that I want to improve. If I don't practice it a little bit every day, then I don't feel like I'm improving, and I start to lose motivation. That keeps my skill improving and my motivation going current. Number two, and this is one that I've really suffered from in the past, even with my main channel on Unrested or even art projects and stuff like this, is don't start too many projects. I would commit myself to too many projects, which also gets into the next point I was about to talk about. I'll mix these together. Don't volunteer yourself for too many projects either. Sometimes when we read about a project or we learn about something new to try, we get so excited about it as ADD people that we want to try a little bit of everything. And while that is great to expand your skills and your horizons, if you try to dedicate yourself to too many things, you're going to burn yourself out on all those things all at once. And I'm so guilty of this, saying that I would collab with somebody and then not following through, or saying like I would draw a banner or an icon or something. Never ever anything connected to money or actual commissions. Those I would follow through because there was a very big hook on the line. But anytime that I would volunteer or see a channel that I thought, oh, this could use a better banner or a better icon, I'll tell them I'll draw that. And then I would never follow through because I'd already committed to too much stuff and put too much on my plate, completely overwhelming me. And then when I get overwhelmed, I would get depressed that I didn't follow through with what I had volunteered for. And then I would start to detach and not communicate with the person, which is a really bad habit to get into. Just don't spread yourself thin by taking on multiple projects at once or volunteering for multiple projects at once. Stick to a routine. This is something I feel like helps anybody, even those without ADD. Sticking to a routine keeps your life just way less chaotic. I wake up and the first thing I do is clean. I clean the whole house pretty much. I go from room to room, keeping everything in order. The second we let stuff start to get out of order and into chaos as people with ADHD is the second that we start to totally lose track of everything that's going on, and we start to get a lot of anxiety from it. We start to misplace a lot of things. Then we end up being late for things because we're so busy looking for something we don't check the time. If you stick to a routine and have very healthy aspects to your routine, such as I wake up, I clean the whole house, I do a little bit of exercise in the morning too, then I get into either a video I'm going to make or something I'm going to draw. I prepare myself for work, then I go to work, and from there I come back home. Usually I have maybe one more job after that, which is still the same type of work. It's just teaching a private English lesson. But then at night, I sit down on the couch, and even though that's my relaxed time, I still use it to brush up on what's new and interesting in the art world, video games, anything I can brush up on to kind of suck in all that new atmosphere that's always coming out with all different types of genres of art. And if one of them really interests me or one of them really kind of inspires me, that's the time that I'll be like, oh, I'll just try a little bit of this. I'll see if I can mess around with this program or draw a little bit in this or whatever. And that's not something that I've committed to as far as finishing a project for, but just something interesting to mess around with so that I am still expanding my skills and enjoying it while I do it, but also sticking to a routine and not locking myself into completing another project and adding too much to my plate. Next up is kind of connected to the other aspects I talked about, not taking on too many projects. When it comes to hobbies, we as ADHD people tend to take on way too many hobbies, and these can be detrimental to our everyday routine, life, and work. For me, video games are a huge hobby that I love, but I find if I get myself into too many video games, they each become their own separate hobby. I want to be the best I possibly can at all of them. Or if I get into too many drawing programs, like, software programs that let you draw, or, different types of media such as Copic colors or paints, or if I get into too many things, then I always want to be as good as I possibly can at them. So I'll try to spend as much time as I can in perfecting my skill. And this means I kind of just end up having average skill at all of them, or not completing all of the different projects I'm taking on, which gets back into don't commit yourself to too many projects. Don't commit yourself to too many hobbies either. Be realistic with your time and your ability to cover so many things throughout the day. We're not left with anything more than 24 hours in a day. During that time, we need to respect the time and presence of other people around us, something that can be very hard for us as ADHD people because we tend to be very focused on one thing that we're very, very interested in, and the rest of the world sometimes gets completely blocked out because of that. Try to combat this, to stick to just one thing and give everything else an equal amount of time to keep your life, connected to the people, the loved ones around you, to your routine that you have every day, and to your main job and work, your family, your passions. You need to stick to probably just one hobby. Now, the one thing I will say is if you stick to one hobby, make it a hobby that you can diversify. So, for example, if I say, make art your hobby, well, don't be afraid to expand that into other different types of art. For example, I started this channel, and one of the main reasons I started this channel was because my old channel, Unrested, while I love it, it's very interesting to do, I am kind of stuck in a niche of talking about Japan. And while that's super fun for me to do, I love talking about Japan. I love helping people about moving to Japan and all different types of stuff like that. I tried in the past to add other types of videos to that channel, and it upset the people there. Obviously so, because that's not what the channel was made for. Then I tried to make separate channels, a game channel, a movie channel, a horror channel, a story channel, a creepypasta channel. It's ridiculous. I try to do all this other stuff. Now I feel very comfortable with this new one. I've got like 30 videos on it, and a lot of them are all very different. I try something for a little while, see what sticks, and then I keep doing it if it's doing well. For example, these speed drawings that I've started to post get way more views than anything else. And the great thing about that is all I do is record my screen as I'm drawing. And that goes very well with not only my number one hobby of art, but also my video making. And that is one expansive way that I just add to my video making, yet still it's only one hobby. It's one hobby with many different routes that I can do. I can make an AMV video. I can make a playthrough video of a game that I like. I can make a synopsis video on a show I like, but I'm still sticking to one hobby, making videos. That's what you got to do. a lot of the times when you've got ADHD where your mind's going a million different directions. Another big important thing is sleep. I found that my concentration is much better if I get enough sleep. I think you can probably figure out that I've had a lot of trouble with sleep in the past with a channel called Unrested. I would literally be called Unrested by my friends because I would never be able to sleep. My mind would be racing a million times a second. And the reason was I would create all these crazy scenarios in my head of horrible things that could happen, and they would keep me up all through the night and stress me out. What I've learned is if I listen to like some soft meditation or binaural beats or some sort of soft, creepy story that I enjoy, or a one channel I really enjoy is called Scare You to Sleep, where they try to talk to you about like a scary nightmare or dream. I know for some people you're like, what? Why would you listen to that right before you go to sleep? It relaxes me. It's very relaxing to me. I can't tell you how many times I listened to a playthrough of the game Deadly Premonition over and over again to fall asleep. For some reason, that kind of stuff really relaxes me and calms my mind down. Try to occupy your mind with something more positive as you're about to go to sleep. That way your mind's not scrambling through all these horrible things that could be happening or building up anxiety for scenarios that haven't even happened yet in your life. I hope that helps. Other than that, I will say, last but not least, don't correct your personality to fit into any sort of social niche. Now, I'm not saying say and do whatever you want. Who cares? Screw everyone who doesn't like you. Now, of course, make yourself socially acceptable in the sense that, you could get a job or go to an interview or, be polite in the correct situations. Don't go around being a misfit nonstop and, excommunicating yourself from everything. What I'm saying is, even if your personality is quirky or strange because you have ADHD, like mine is a little bit out there at times. I talk about horror movies probably too much. I make corny jokes or like dad jokes nonstop. But that doesn't negatively affect anyone. No one said my day was ruined because he made a dad joke. There are things though, like biting sarcasm. Some people can't take a lot of sarcasm, especially here in Japan. They don't even know if you're being sarcastic, so it might offend them or hurt them. Don't do stuff like that. But very innocently funny stuff, or even if it's unfunny but innocent, don't correct that. Don't try to change who you are to fit a certain social niche, okay? If the people around you don't accept you for who you are, then they're not your friends. You shouldn't have to change who you are as a person with ADHD to have your friends around you accept you. Just be you. Don't be so worried about people judging you on every little thing you say. Stick to your true self. Anyway, guys, I hope that helps as an artist with ADHD. I just wanted to bring this up and talk about it a little bit. Since this channel is about all different types of art, I thought I'd talk about a little bit of the psychology that goes into my own art. I don't know if this is helpful to anyone. If it is, if you'd like me to talk about it more, let me know. It's always an interesting subject to me that I watch a lot of videos about. And until next time, I've been the Inksmith, and I hope you have a great day.